The objectives for the Allied forces in the Italian campaign was the capture of Rome in the hopes of drawing the German army away from the impending Normandy invasion.
It isn't until May of 1943 that the Axis forces are driven out of North Africa, but then you're facing the whole continent of Western Europe. How are we going to gain a foothold there? The British are able to convince the Americans to postpone the invasion of France, which the Americans had wanted to do as early as 1942, potentially, and certainly in 43. They get them to postpone it into 44, meanwhile take on the British strategy of hitting what Churchill called the soft underbelly of Europe, which is anything but.
By the end of 1943, the Allies had already invaded parts of Italy, but were stalemated by the Gustav Line, which was a series of defensive positions by the German military. The Allies needed a plan to break the German line. That plan became Operation Shingle, or the Battle of Anzio. Conceived by none other than Winston Churchill, the plan was to use the element of surprise and outflank the Germans with a small amphibious landing at the beachhead at Anzio. The commanders on the ground believed the force would most likely be too small and they could be obliterated by the enemy. Churchill disagreed and believed if they were fast enough, they would be successful. On January 22nd, the Allies moved forward with the invasion. Luckily, the invasion went well and the American forces were mostly unopposed and were able to reinforce the beachhead. The good fortune didn't last. A few days later, a force of over 40,000 Germans attacked and captured more than 700 of our men at a town called Salerno.
That's when you start seeing very, very intense combat. The Germans are able to hold a series of positions that are very easily defensible. There's no way to really outflank them easily. The Germans are falling back on their own lines of supply. I mean, it is just an awful slog.
By February, 100,000 Germans had reinforced German positions at the Battle of Anzio and became another stalemate. The Allies needed a new plan.